we're going to be doing the Cidava big Tesla style screen. I've kind of looked a little bit in depth on it. It's a pretty cool system, very nice setup. So we're going to go ahead and do a unboxing, removal of the old radio, installation, demo, and all the above. Let's get right to it. I went ahead and unboxed the package. Here is all the parts that's going to be in the box. So I just kind of wanted to show you, lay it out. Anytime I do a radio like these, I always want to lay everything out, kind of get an idea on what I'm working with, and also just to make sure all the parts are here and present. If you have a 2018 and up with a 7-inch screen, you'd have to do a little bit of jumping of wires and things like that. So since this is not a 2018, we're not going to worry about that. Put it aside. There's also a quick guide on what the plugs that you're going to be using. I'm going to leave that alone for now. Here's the quick diagram of every inputs and outputs that you're going to be putting in the radio. 4G antenna right here. There's the Wi-Fi, the GPS, the controller box, and just miscellaneous plugs. Got 2 harness right here. I'm going to review the diagram real quick just to make sure which wire I'm going to be using. And also you're going to be doing the steering wheel control, which is underneath the steering wheel. The backup camera will be behind the glove box. You're also going to be doing a jumper harness if you have a CD player. You got the chime speaker, antenna adapter, vice versa. So I'm going to go ahead and review it real quick, start taking apart the radio, and then start plugging all these in. This is also how the radio comes in. As you can see, it's protected with the plastic right here to prevent scratches. So shout out to Cidava for making sure that thing is good to go. Other than that, let's get to it. Wanted to make a correction about the year of the truck that I have in the bay. It is a 2018 GMC Sierra or Chevy Silverado 2500. So we are going to do an additional step with this gray connector, which I'll show you as well. To get started, we're going to go ahead and take off the radio bezel. The only thing you're going to need are plastic tool removals. This is only held by clips all around. Just kind of be careful. I always start from one side and work my way out. That way you don't break anything or stress it too much. So this is where I kind of begin to take it off. And then as you can see, it already popped off a little bit of it. So we're going to go ahead and continue taking it off and then move on to the next part. Once you get the radio bezel popped off, either you're going to have heated seats or don't, but you still need to unplug these 2 connectors. Just push on the tab and then it'll release. Once you get the bezel out, you're going to go ahead and take off 7mm right here, right here, right here, and then right here. Then we're going to go ahead and pop the radio off and then unplug all the connectors. Go ahead and unplug the screen, which has 2 plugs right here and right here, and also one for the climate control on the bottom. We are also not going to need the CD player anymore, so we're going to go ahead and take off 2 7mm and then unplug this as well. Now that we've got the CD player removed, this is what the plug looks like. Now, since there is communication going in and out of that CD player, we're going to make our first connection. Just to get it out of the way, it's going to be this plug right here. Just go ahead and plug it in. Make sure it clicks, and that's situated. After you get this part plugged in, we're going to go ahead and unplug all the connectors from this top black box. We're going to be removing this because we're going to need all the space that we can pretty much utilize with all the plugs and wires and things like that from the new radio. So all it is just depress this button right here. All it is just locks. So you can have 1, 2, 3, 4. There was nothing in here. And then this one was plugged in from the gray connector. And then this one was up top. There's going to be a little tab right here that you have to push up to kind of release that box, and then just kind of pull it straight out. Now we have more room in the back. We're going to stop on the radio side for now. We're going to move on to the steering wheel control plug that's going to be underneath the cover right here. This one's kind of a pain to take off, so you're gonna need a little bit of pressure, which is one of these, or you have a flathead just to make sure you don't scratch that. And then let's go ahead and pop that and then show you what the connector looks like. Here's what the lever looks like once you take it off. I kind of put a little bit of pressure like right in between right here, and then slowly work your way out. Once you get that out, put it aside for now. We're going to go ahead and take off the bottom portion of the steering wheel control cover. To get this out, there's not really any screws that's holding it in place, so just kind of work your way out with the panel remover. Just kind of wedge it in the corner and start your way from there, and then do it from the other side. As you can see, it's nothing but locking clips and locking tabs, no screws in place. So we're going to go ahead and look under, and if I recall, this is the steering wheel control plug right here that we're going to need. Go ahead and swap it out and then plug the T-harness in. This is a completely optional step right here. At times I like to take off the bottom cover just so I can see where I run the wires, so I can run it efficiently, cleanly, and without rubbing to anything that would scratch the wires. This is only held by 2 T10 star bits, which is underneath right here. I do have a master keys right there, so no problem on that. Like I said, it accepts T10. This is an optional step to do, but as you can see now, I can pretty much route the wires where I need to route it. I generally route it along with the harness right here, and then it loops back over, and then it'll go back to the radio location. We've got the steering wheel control plug situated, and as I mentioned before, run it along the factory harness, and then I made mine loop underneath right here. Make sure it's not touching any metal, and then zip tied it to another harness, and eventually it'll shoot through this little opening right here. And then the wire, just put it aside for now. We'll worry about that later on. Now we're moving on to the mic right here. It's temporarily just sitting there. I ran it behind this panel, just kind of pop it a little bit and have the wire come out. I went ahead and taped it along with the steering wheel control wire, and that way I can just kind of pull it along with it, because you want to run it at the same location. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, have the wire come out here, and then put it aside. We are now on the glove box side. This is where we're going to catch the backup camera. We're going to go ahead and take off the bottom part, which is held by T15 Torx screws, and there's also 2 more right below, about this location and then this location. Once you get that out, we're going to go ahead and pop the bottom glove box off, and then see if we can access the plug that we need. Once you get all the Torx screws out, 1, 2, 3, and 4, it's only held by clips right here, so just go ahead and pull it towards you. I'm trying to see if we can access the wire right here, which, if I recall, it'll be this gray wire plug right here. So we're going to go ahead and get the harness and match it up. Now that you got the plug situated for the rear view camera, go ahead and zip tie it to this harness. Hit zip tie it to this harness, and then have it come out zip tied to that harness. Now you might be wondering why it's a little bit loose, because you still have to put the stock glove box bottom location in there, and then this is kind of going to rest to this crevice right here. So don't make it too tight, that way it has some room to move around once you put the glove box back in place. Here's the 4 items that's next on the list: the 4G antenna, the Wi-Fi, the GPS. I would mount all the Wi-Fi stuff right here. Just go ahead and clean it with some alcohol wipes. The GPS I'm going to mount right here with the zip tie, or I may just wire it along with the Wi-Fi antenna. But you have all this opening right here. Like I said, you can zip tie, you can stick it on, whichever you really prefer, but just make sure you clean the surface, that way you don't have any dust, so the sticky thing would stick on a lot better and not just pop off whenever you're driving around. Make sure you clean it real good, get all that dust out, that way it'll make full contact, and then let it dry for a little bit. You can see it's pretty dirty. That's what you don't want, along with 3M adhesives. So we're gonna go ahead and let that dry for a little bit and start sticking all the accessories. Here's all the Wi-Fi and the 4G antennas all sticked in there. The chime is zip tied around this harness. The GPS is zip tied around here, out of sight, out of mind. So I'm gonna go ahead and zip tie all the wires together, make it look nice and neat, and then place it around this area, and then we'll move on to the next step. I have everything prepped up, all the plugs that I just ran and I showed you guys. Like I said, I zip tied the excess harness above right here, sticked on all the antennas. Now we're gonna move on to the climate control. Now you're gonna look for this plug right here that has a gray connector. You're gonna plug it in to the climate control plug. See if I can do it one hand. Make sure it clicks. Then this is gonna go to the control box. Next step is the camera input. This is the one that we ran behind the glove box. So it's gonna go to this plug right here. It'll state factory camera input. So plug that in and leave the rest as you're not gonna need it. Next plug is the RCA audio output. That's what's gonna have the mic input, which is what we ran down here. So go ahead and plug that in to the mic. The next two plugs that I plugged in, it's the chime speaker going to the speaker output, and the steering wheel control, which is what we ran underneath the steering wheel. It'll directly plug in to SWC, steering wheel control. For the OnStar, you're going to need this blue plug right here. Now it's going to have a left and right OnStar audio output. You're going to look for the OnStar audio output from the main harness and plug it into either one of these. Doesn't really matter which one it is. I just chose the red one, same thing. Now for the few more steps, you're gonna take this plug right here, and then it's the red and white labeled USB along with the USB line. I routed it right here on the very bottom, comes up from here. I went ahead and routed the SIM card, which is attached to the radio. Kind of wish it wasn't, but it is what it is. I routed them all here. The reason why is I can kind of hide it a little bit in this location right here, so out of sight, out of mind, since most people don't really use the SIM card feature, but just kind of have to get it ready somehow. Now in this particular part, it did come with some kind of adapter for the USB for this blue plug right here. This is the stock location, and also came with the adapter right here. So I'm gonna test that out before I confirm, because I'm pretty sure that's what this USB is for, so you can retain it. Now we're gonna go ahead and plug in the control box. One will go one way, labeled to on box. Make sure it clicks. The other side of the climate control plug right here, and then to the radio side. Also states radio, so you can't really miss it. Now we're gonna go ahead and just test out the radio, make a couple of connections, and then see if everything turns on. Now these plugs are if you have Bose, which you have to purchase a separate box for it. It's about 180 if I recall. This is the plug for it, which obviously we don't really need that. This is for multi-camera power, so if you have 360, you can get it from that. Make sure you tape this up. You don't really need this as well. So we're just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna start plugging everything in and see what we're working with. Make sure everything turns on. We still need to plug in all the GPS antennas and things like that. Besides that, we still need to do a couple of things, but I just kind of want to make sure everything turns on. That way I'm not going too far ahead and not making sure everything works. So we're gonna start plugging in the connectors in the back. This only goes one way, so you can't really miss it, but we're gonna go ahead and take that back off. I just realized that the connectors are in the back right here below, so easier to plug it in now, and then start plugging these in. Another piece that you need to put in is the AM/FM. It goes into this black plug. Got everything pretty much plugged in, secured, so we're gonna go ahead and test everything out. Once I know everything works, we're gonna go ahead and clean all that out. Before we can put the screen back in its location, did have to transfer over the metal tab right here from the old one. Also, it's gonna come with 2 brackets that you have to screw in to the top location. The bottom one is all good, so you don't have to worry about that, but you do need this for the top one. This is temporarily just held in with the 2 screws on the bottom. Nothing's secure or anything like that yet. I didn't pop the clips on. That way I want to make sure everything works first before I put everything in. But we're gonna go ahead and start the truck and then see how it boots up. Go ahead and take that off. See if I can find the key. There it is. Let's see the boot up time. And mind you, if this is the first time it's turning on, it's always going to take a little bit longer to boot up, just because it's the first time turning on. But once you have everything going, it'll always boot up pretty fast. Beautiful picture. Just give it a few seconds. It's also showing the door open, which it is open, so we're gonna play around with it for a little bit, see what kind of settings that need change. First issue that I found is the climate control. Right now it's on all the way off, but there's still air coming out, so we're gonna go ahead and take care of that. We're gonna go to settings or home, go to settings, go to setting guide. We're gonna go to car model, defaulted at manual, so we're gonna go ahead and go to auto AC, let it boot up, and then you should be able to control the climate control like how it's supposed to be controlled. We're just kind of testing everything out. I've got the Bluetooth tested, connects everything, so you just connect it just like any other device. It'll show BTC with a couple of numbers, and then once it connects, everything is good to go. Couple of little things too. When you do connect, I'm trying to see if I could change this to Fahrenheit. Might take a little bit for that thing to link up, so I'm gonna leave that alone for now. The reverse camera do work. Now, with the quality of this thing, it's not really the radio that's showing the quality like that. It's the factory GM one, so if you want it to be a little bit more clear, you're gonna have to upgrade to an aftermarket reverse camera, but it does the job, so not really gonna worry about it too much. Here's the media that you can switch over. A couple of little things, radio.
Back in Wichita, he is gonna be headlining.
And if you want to go to the Carplay, right now I'm on Bluetooth mode, so showing the 87 degrees. It's starting to get a little bit hot out here. Got the Carplay down here. Music going, address, GPS, map, things like that. Climate control is taken care of. Everything works. Turn the AC on. You can also change the mode right here if you don't want to do the touchscreen thing. You can adjust the temperature. You're gonna keep it on the AC. It's starting to get a little hot right here. Here's the fan control. Overall, it's gonna take you a little bit to kind of play with it a little bit, but other than that, everything is good to go. We're gonna go ahead and plug everything back in. Got the USBs right here, so we don't have to worry about anything. Since this does not have any heated seats, we don't have to do anything with the bezel, so we're gonna screw everything on, put everything back in, and then do a last minute check again. I'm gonna do a last change on this thing. Click in here, North America, United States. See if we can find Kansas, which is where I'm at. And you can pretty much set it to where you are. So once you get that thing taken care of, it'll automatically switch over to the weather where you're located. And then other than that, that's pretty much take care of the weather part of it. One last thing I found out is to get the weather, you're gonna have to hook it up to a Wi-Fi, or if you do the SIM card, it'll automatically adjust to it. So I was just kind of playing around with it, connected it to my Wi-Fi, and all is good. The last step that we had to put in are these bezels. As you can see, this one doesn't have the heated seats. The original one didn't either, so we're not gonna bother doing anything to it. We're just gonna go ahead and tuck these plugs in the back, because we're not gonna be plugging anything behind it. But if you did have any heated seats from factory, you had to pop this off from the back. No back clips right here, and then you're gonna install it in this location, plug it in. But like I said, since this one didn't have any, we're not going to be bothered with that, so we're just going to go ahead and clip it on. Now you do have to transfer some of the clips from the old bezel. You can use a pick and just kind of work your way out to take it out. You're only going to need two, one on the bottom, one up top. That way it'll lock in its position. Beautiful, beautiful. I'm actually highly impressed with this system. The bezels are a little bit tight, but that's kind of how you want it to look like. That way it's not loose or anything like that, popping off and all that. But it just takes a little bit of finessing. I finally got it in there. So everything is secured. Highly suggest Cidava's unit. I'll attach the link for the product for their Amazon and their website. So highly, highly recommend this system. Everything works well. Got the reverse camera. Got all the wireless CarPlay. Got the Wi-Fi connected. A lot of apps you can choose from. Climate control, touchscreen and things like that, or you can do it manually, whichever you prefer. Overall, highly, highly recommend, 100%. Thank you, Cidava, for making such a great unit. Other than that, that's all there is to it. Let's go ahead and take the truck for a quick test drive. Go in reverse, just to make sure everything works. I'm currently on the CarPlay. CarPlay works great. GPS is getting great signal, so that's a good thing. So I'm gonna take it for a little bit longer test drive.